I have wasted my life. Cut the words in half. I want to watch westerns in the evening. The poet, J. Millar, the dancer, Hazel Millar, and the BookThug poet and book designer, Mark Goldstein, and I, the four of us, struggled passionately to get this book as close to our shared vision of it as we could. And I'm very pleased to launch it tonight. The small nouns crying faith, as you may remember, is a phrase by George Open from his poem Psalm. The invocation here, the invite to each of you is raw deer, draw near. Have patched pots, wars cook crap in. Raw deer, draw near. Have patched pots, wars cook crap in. I go to a lot of auction sales, and the family that does the auction sales up in the Ottawa Valley are called the Hands. So this poem is called The Hands. It starts out pretty basic and ends up in Greece. Each time our septic needs draining, I have to dig down to find it. Earth has confoundedly filled back in the tank shape I cleared. Slower than that. Slower than that. The snowfall has big plans, is into zoning, flusters every objection, and never does half what it says. We wade in, scoop up, and eat shore froth. Keels have left deep wedge ruts in, and the wedge ruts, unrunneling muck, backslap stadium gore. Slower than what we may notice, slower than that, and slower than that. The large mirror carried through the crowd at the auction is a demon composed of documentary water. 3 generations of callers, Clayton, Jim, Trevor, the Hands. Slower than what we notice. Slower even, slower than all that. Eons of pines on the hillside at Gnosis and here. Rhythmically interring by downfall, by non-regard, those dolphins, goggle-eyed, elbow blue, up broken tiles in the palace bath. These aimed high horn snorts, this dithyrambic slather. I will write a poem again today. It will make no sense. A book in its folios is akin to firewood in its split and stacked cords. Blake knows the tree. Whitman knows the tree. Bill Bissett knows the tree. I know wet turmoil, pigeoned, and the fresh refrain smell of sawdust. A vague gray wash in the swamp's least twigs. After I have confirmed my ticket, I'll have some scrambled eggs at the diner across the trestle and study again the photos of the old trains. To describe what one does in the early morning always feels like dying, doesn't it? I have lived in my body like a drifter who, cutting across open country, goes to sleep in a barn one night. He wakes up, the barn is on fire, flames everywhere. He can't remember who he is or where he is. No one watching the barn burn knows who he is either, or how he got there when he, on fire, comes riding out of the fire on Abigail, old Doc's burning white mare. Again, with homemade chokecherry ink, to say the impasse, the mummified aim, how the dark depths of the standing corn moves as a staggered current through the rows, apace with us as we drive past. Under the bond, the carbon. Under the carbon, a relentless, desultory cross-hatching. October or early March, late in the day, the sun come round long and russet off the lake, will reach right through the log cabin storms, just up or still up, and through the little Michael Chapel door of the cold wood stove. That light will be shaking in there in the ash grate like a real fire. Why do I still write shitty little poems like this? Today I have put a pencil mark to John Keats's height in my study doorway. Now each time I notice it's 5'3/4" I'll hear him coughing blood and cadence. I am thinking of proclamations nailed to doors, of tongues of fire above dried calls, of the ballads before they were child ballads, before they were collected into 10 coffins, volumes, starting in 1882 by Francis James Child. For ages, they were slap-printed as road sheets and sung as badly so often to card, spin, and knit the little holdings, dairy down, 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 dairy down. To this day, a gross lampoon of some local bigwig will make Fred snort and double over at a party. Then the page it is written on will go back into hiding. The Mounties don't know where to look. It is inside a box of Red River cereal, seething. But I am also of a mind of tetrahedron canticles, formal defiances, the no that only rhymes with nope. In strict, strictish patterns. Also consider Frida Kahlo's painted armor, her decorated torso casts, plaster corsets, her story-yelling chrysalises, or Miklas Radnoti's faint, blurred notebook songs, in his dirt-covered shirt pocket, in his shared trench, sky-hard low foam, or William Carlos Williams, after strokes, typing with one finger, parting the alphabet, loudly, lovingly, sorry flow, asphodel, that greeny flower. Here's to birth-mangled Larry Agner. Here's to ribbon ink smeared. Here's to the indomitable wick that drives all our narrow-flung notations off cliffs. And bringing it home, dairy, dairy. Let's remember the woman in Belleville, not so many years ago, who could only blink. So she blinked poems. She blinked poems letter by letter. B was 2 blinks. Hallelujah, our growing down has begun. Again, each second, the pulse. Try to not return unused. Us all, a strum, a face chord, as if soil, as if solid. but its hustings are gushy, it's sold. Each second, the pulse again. Try to not return unused. We have heard us all dump bodies over ledges into pits before. Didn't you once have this falling sickness memorized? The pulse again, each second. Try to not return unused. Stateless, the step declares a 1-foot nationality. An end stop is a burrow entrance. Again, each second the pulse. Try to not return unused. Light entered my black song. Its banner read, understanding. I followed it and found atrocity everywhere. I have the dates and details wrong. I refuse to understand. I trust my tin ear. This blind, stupid hand gropes. Called an asshole, she stood in the crowd. Called a hero, she stood in the crowd. It was the same crowd. At least I haven't been long-listed for the hiding prize, she said. Last night in my dream, I climbed the bare tree of language. From its top, I could see we were on an island, Oak Leaf Island. We had been abandoned there by our politicians. They didn't want to be public servants anymore. They didn't want us to care about little words like lop or weed. The island was strewn with such garden words. I saw how our job now was to climb down and gather those handwritten words and put them back on the tree. For years, we worked at this together. Old nouns and verbs were blathering at new maroon twig ends again. Then one day we felt the island move. The tree of language was revealed as the mast of a ship, we its riggers. Our words bellying forth as one crazy quilt map sail. A fake forced innocence, atrociousness pinched silly, as if awareness were twee, as if an exclamation mark were the latest gauche, yet ironically renegade plastic accessory, as if breathing were summer theater, with all the dated smugness that implies. The way a partridge doesn't get a helicopter. I don't get these poems. There's no shame in them. Thank you so much.